And welcome back to Who Would Win. And this Who Would Win, the final in the week of Who Would Wins, comes to us Guillermo Acosta. What's the question? Who would win a fight? Homelander from The Boys versus Brandon Myers, a.k.a. Brightburn from Brightburn. So essentially, you're asking me to pick two Superman-esque individuals. They are essentially Superman in their own world. Brandon obviously is they're both also evil versions of Superman. Brandon is just a kid. So he's still got a long way to go in terms of maybe developing his powers, but as far as we know from the movie, he is exceptionally powerful. And Homelander is just an asshole. They both have basically Superman's general set of powers: super strength, invulnerability, flight, heat beams. By the way, I am referring to Homelander from the comics as well, not just the show. Well, the show will be the thumbnail. So I mean, the question here is, who would win a fight? Again, it's difficult to say because they just have the same roster of powers. Now, the extent of what their abilities can do possibly is different. They both have heat vision, so that's probably the same. Although he's probably had, in Homelander's case, this guy's case, I can do that actually. Yeah, he's right above me. This guy's case, he's had a longer time using his powers, so he's had more experience on his side. Also, we don't know the full extent of either of their strengths, but we know that they're both highly impervious to most forms of hit damage. There's two big differences here, and one is weaknesses. Brandon does have a weakness to a metal from his home world. It's essentially kind of his kryptonite, or just something that does hurt him. So he actually does have a legitimate weakness. Homelander, as far as we know, doesn't have a specific weakness. There's nothing that's specifically his kryptonite. Also, Homelander lives in a world where supers exist, where metahumans exist, and he's fought against them on multiple occasions, or he can fight against them. He's had experience dealing with them. While it is implied that there are other metahumans in Brightburn's universe, Brandon, first off, is the only one we've seen, but through the entire movie, has never dealt with one. So you're dealing with the fact that, yes, he has an exploitable weakness that, unfortunately, Homelander can't exploit. But B, he's never had to fight someone who's, at minimum, his equal or near his equal. So what happens if these two meet? Well, let's hypothetically assume that Brightburn does take place in the Boys universe. It's just been ignoring the Boys events because they're so rural and not in the way of anything. Eventually, Homelander hears about this kid, someone wreaking havoc, and he goes to check it out. It's like, okay, who's stealing my shtick? What the fuck? And he sees Brandon floating there at his Brightburn kind of like him. Then Brandon actually goes and is like, okay, kid, what the hell? What are you doing? Trying to steal my shtick? Wait, what? Can I cut your tongue? Can I cut your tongue, you little shit? Come on. No, look. I get it. You're young. You're impressionable. I was like that once too. But stealing things are wrong. And and trying to one-up me pisses me off. Now, you don't want to piss me off, do you, little kid? Do you, little boy? I didn't think so. So why don't you just go home to your folks and just Brandon's just looking at and just blast him straight in the chest. Ow. He probably like, okay, little bastard. You want to play? You want to play? Let's fucking play. And then just bomb rushes Brandon, who wasn't expecting this, even though he's seen this guy fly, and just decks Brandon. Now these two are duking out. Problem is, he's an adult man versus a kid. Even if we're going under the impression they both have super strength, they both are also probably go through a form of puberty. Ergo, he is a grown man. Naturally speaking, in relation to him, he's still much stronger. So all the blows he's dishing out hurt far worse to Brandon than what Brandon's doing to him. Even though Homelander's definitely feeling it. It's like, oh, that's annoying. That kind of hurts a little bit. Whereas Brandon, it's just boom. Brandon, he's actually kind of like starting to wail on Brandon. And Brandon's actually starting to panic a little bit. He's freaking trying to rush out of there, but Home's like, where the hell are you going? Boom! Smacks him in the ground. Brandon blasts him in the face, counteracts with his own heat beam. So now they're struggling. Brandon just letting out all his rage, and Homelander does get thrown back a bit. Just, it's like, okay, all right. Like, seriously, you little shit. It's like, you stealing every one of mine, and then Brandon just tries to rush him. Homelander's like being pushed back, but he kind of just stalls him in midair and just, boom, elbows him. Just hits him in the ground. Just, okay, Look, I don't do a lot of fucked up shit, okay? But even kids, that's close to a no-no for me. And they start squeezing Brandon's head. close to a no and just starts cracking stuff. Brandon tries to use a heat beam, but no, Homelander just nope. Hot, hot. Just kind of gouges out Brandon's eyes, and Brandon's screaming in pain. Like, well, that's what you get for being a little shit. And then they just eventually crushes his skull. So, and let's be clear, you think that's brutal? You ever watch The Boys? I'll admit, I actually haven't watched The Boys, but I've watched clips of The Boys. I know the pretense of the comic. I've seen a lot of it. No, that's well within Homelander's psychology and means of doing. He would rip that kid apart literally. So, yeah, he just crushes him right there. So why do I think Homelander wins this? Well, it comes back to the fact that, A, he's just had more experience fighting enhanced individuals, supers, metahumans. B, he doesn't have a distinguishable weakness, whereas Brandon actually does. But 3, and I brought it up in the actual video, he's a grown-ass man. Even if we were to think that they're the same race for a second, the idea of puberty and biology and physiology still plays a factor even when it comes to the idea of super strength. So I can't remember how old Brandon is. I think he's like 11 or 12, maybe. He's going into his teen years. Brandon Breyer. Hold on. Brandon Breyer. Okay. Well, how old was he? 12. Okay. So age 12, he's just starting to hit puberty. I mean, think how you were at age 12. Most of us were pretty scrawny. We haven't, to be fair, I hit puberty a little early, so I was like 6 foot at 12. But most of us are pretty on the scrawny side at 12. We got some muscle, but we don't have that serious surge of testosterone that lets us be able to, ignore pain a bit better, take a punch a bit better, throw a punch a bit stronger. Whereas Homelander's a guy looks like I don't know actually how old he is. Looks, at least from that picture, he looks to be in his 30s, roughly speaking. Homelander, how old is Homelander? That's a good question. But I mean, he's a grown-ass man who's gone through puberty. He's probably doesn't have to work out, but has the super strength in an adult man's body. So, let's see, Homelander, The Boys. Got an age on him? Real name, John, blah, 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 leader of the 7. I don't see an age on him. And yeah, I don't get an age on him. But if we were to take a rough guess, he's probably a guy somewhere in his 30s. Maybe even like 40s, but he might just age slower than us like Superman does. So he looks to be in his 30s, but he could be in his 40s, maybe even 50s, but just ages slower. Point being, he's a grown-ass man with the physiology of a grown-ass man, heightened with super strength and ability. So ultimately, it's just, you see the plateau, you're like, if Brandon's technically, if Brandon stands at a 7 hypothetical, or let's say at 100 points, if Homelander's the 100, Brandon probably is only coming in at like a 60. Enough that he could put up a solid fight, but ultimately he would fall to Homelander pretty handedly. Now, granted, there's scenarios where Brandon might get a lucky shot in, like laser his eyes or something like that, because in his universe, Homelander technically is the top dog superhero. He's the Superman of his world. So there aren't many heroes that are capable of challenging him in some way. Maybe there are heroes that are faster, technically physically stronger, that are more durable, that have like energy powers that surpasses like heat vision. But the fact is, he's the whole package wrapped into one, which means he's got a lot of options on his side. So ultimately, my money goes on Homelander. But what do you think? You think it's Homelander, or do you think it is Brandon? aka Brightburn. Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Now, ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything to do on the channel, put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.